Outside and inside. All right, let's get to your questions. I'm sure you have some good ones today. 100% sure. With the group I have today, this is the A team right here. We got all the fringe players out of here.
With DJ Pickett, obviously playing 25 snaps in week one, really didn't even notice he was on the field, which is a good thing for a cornerback. Just talk about maybe the rapid development you've seen from him since coming back from the fall and his role going forward.
Yeah, I think you hit it right on the head. I think he plays with a confidence that, you know, when he's out there, you don't notice him, though he's 6'5" or whatever he is. You should notice him. We were really pleased with his first college game, and you know, I think he makes us better. So it's only going to get better for him as he continues to get more comfortable and understands, you know, the routines. You know, he went to class for the first time last week. You know, so we're going to kind of go in a really patient manner, but we're going to play our best players, and he certainly is going to play.
I think the cliche is you make your biggest improvements week 1 to week 2. What are some tangible things you guys can improve on in a situation where maybe you're not playing the same type of opponent you did in the first game?
Yeah, I mean, I think for us, you know, when we go out and, you know, look at what we're trying to accomplish each week, it's much more about each guy doing their job and doing it in a manner that allows 11 guys to look really good together. And we had instances where we had 2 or 3 guys not doing their job, but 8 other guys were. We want all 11 guys doing their job. So this has been much more for us this week, kind of getting that entire group working together as one and holding them accountable to that. So the progress that I would be looking for is that, you know, we don't have one guy that doesn't do his job or 2 guys, but we got 9 guys. I want to see 11 guys doing their job.
I think you mentioned Monday that you weren't exactly, you know, satisfied with how you approached week 2 against Nichols last year. What exactly, you know, were you missing from that game, and what are you hoping to see this week in a similar situation?
Yeah, I don't know that I was alluding to that I didn't like the preparation as much as I didn't like the way we performed. I think that was much more in terms of how we address things after the season, in terms of personnel and how we would handle teams that, you know, want to run the ball and take time off the clock. So, you know, I think it was much more my comments in that respect. Look, I think the maturity of a football team is that you have a nameless and faceless opponent. In other words, you prepare the same way no matter what. And that's the hard part of this. This is the hard part. And that is, can I go out there as if this was Clemson or Florida or Alabama? And they have to come up with the understanding that it's on them to do this. We can't drive them as coaches. They've got to drive themselves. And this group has a lot of veteran guys and a lot of guys that understand that has allowed us to prepare in a much better fashion.
Brian, is your preference to have one window for the transfer portal? Or
yes. No, one window. I'm pleased that the Oversight Committee, it looked like, moved that along. We were in favor of the January 2nd through 11th period. We think that's going to allow us to set our rosters for the rest of the year, not put us in a position where we're, you know, using revenue share or NIL and then we don't see them because they transfer. So, you know, I think that's a great move for the Oversight Committee, as well as, you know, December being dead. You know, we've talked ad nauseum about all the things that go on, and one of them that's really important is educating your own players in December. Like, should you stay? Should you go? Should you go to the NFL? We're still signing a class, you know. So I think those were all really positive from my perspective, and I like the no earlier than November signing. we want to protect the sanctity of the high school senior season and those high school teams, and not have guys, signing in August saying, well, I got mine. Why do I need to play high school football? So I think they're all really positive. I think they're all moving towards the progress that we need to have the kind of system in place to deal with the ever-changing landscape that we're in. Yes.
Coach, can you speak to the in-state matchup between these two teams and what it means to both programs, and not just the teams but the people that make both schools what they are?
Yeah, certainly. We have Tim Rattay, who's in the Hall of Fame, on our staff at La Tech. Joe Sloan, obviously, coached there. Blake. So there's a lot of, crossover here. There's a lot of respect for Sonny and the program that he has. So we see him, in recruiting, and he's at our camps. And so, from that perspective, I think there's, a great allegiance to the in-state schools. But on Saturday, we want to whip them. And so they want to do the same, right? But I like, tipping our cap and saying, if we're going to play, a non-power 4 conference, let's do it from a school in the state of Louisiana.
Yeah, Coach, just listening to the way that you talk and the way that some of the leaders on this team have talked, going back to the 1-0 stuff and just the consistent messaging you guys have had throughout the offseason, I'm just curious, have you ever had teams before that have embraced a message as much as maybe this team has? I mean, it just really seems to be, you're hearing a lot of the same things with this group in terms of just the consistency with the messaging and what they want to be out publicly.
Yeah, I think that's a product of consistency within our program, that it's been so consistent that we don't change the messaging. Yeah, there's the use of 1-0, but that's still about an adherence to process and accountability. And I think they've been hearing it so long that, it's just second nature to them now. And I think that's a lot of what you're hearing is these guys have been in it, they've heard it, they know it. And the transfers have come in and assimilated quickly to that because it's been so consistent. So my entire career has been based upon, I believe that, a focus on a process and that consistency is going to give you the positive outcomes. So yes and no, I guess, would be the answer to the question.
Hey, Coach, just what was your assessment of the offensive line play in the first game, and then you guys kind of plan to do the same thing this week with rotations and stuff if the situation calls for it?
Yeah, I mean, I think we had some good things. Braylon Moore was named the SEC Offensive Lineman of the Week. I think that's a great start. I thought, Weston Davis as a first-time starter, held his own. There's some things he's got to get better at, obviously. Paul and Cohen and DJ, certainly in the rotation and getting some work in there. I thought Tyree was really solid. And then, of course, we got Thompson, who's a veteran player. So it was a good mix of guys. I think we can get better. There's no question. I know we can get better. But for a first start against arguably one of the best defensive lines we're going to see, I think all in all, that was a pretty good start for us.
I'm going to ask you this question knowing that you have many more important things to worry about, but would you like to get all 3 Weeks brothers in on a play at some point, if not this weekend, at some point this season? I mean, I don't know that it's ever been done here before where 3 brothers played on the field at the same time. Is anything you've given thought to at all?
Oh, absolutely. When you have the third brother come in through the doors, your first thought is, okay, we got all 3 of them. Maybe there'll be an opportunity for all 3 of them to be on the field. I hope we get that opportunity. And if we do, we'll take advantage of it because I think it's first of all, it'll be deserving because they're all really good players. But we'll have to wait and see how that happens. But in answering your question, yeah, I've thought about it, and that'd be a first for me. Not that I'm looking for firsts in that sense, but that'd be pretty neat.
Overall, how would you evaluate the camp that Michael Van Buren had, and what do you think, his value is to the program, not only in the present, but maybe in the future after Nuss leaves?
I think it's a good question. Nobody really asks about the development of your backup quarterback. It's usually, how's Nuss doing? What's he doing? But I think if you ask anybody in the know, meaning the guys that are with him every day, they would say that they really like his progress. And, you know, a lot of this stuff is, remember, he was thrown into the fire as a true freshman, right? So even though he did play, not sure he knew a lot of stuff that was going on. He just instinctually just played and did what he does as a quarterback. He is so much further along in terms of his depth of knowledge of protections and progressions and what things look like. He's a talented player. He's one that we feel is that if he had to go in, we can win the game with him in there. And that's what you want with your number 2 quarterback.
PJ Woodland sees one of those starting corner jobs. Just how has his game improved and taken such a big leap from last year to this season? What does he bring to that corner room for you guys?
I think details are much better. I think he's matured in terms of understanding the position and the nuances. Playing the corner is not just about athletic ability. It's understanding leverage and coverages and where you fit. And I think as a true freshman last year, a lot of that stuff was kind of learn on the run. He's had a great base through last year. Learned a lot. Had some good days and bad days. And I think the scar tissues helped him to the point where he's a much more confident player out there. So he's got really good speed, good instincts on the ball, can be a physical tackler, even though he's, we'd like him another 10 pounds, but is not afraid to stick his nose in there. But I think it's probably that experience last year of having some success and maybe some tough spots where it's really allowed him to grow as a corner, if you will.
We visited with Caden yesterday, and he praised Juwan with his approach and from switching positions basically from start of camp to middle of camp and being able to go out there and do some things against Clemson. I know he didn't get a lot of snaps, but what did you guys, now that you have some film on him at the running back spot, what was the assessment there? What did you like about Juwan at the running back spot, and maybe what are some things that he can still improve on?
Well, I think you're 100% right, and Caden is too. Here's a kid that came in, and we started him at nickel, moved him around to wide receiver to quarterback to running back to quarterback. I mean, it's a selfless kid in the sense that he just wants to help this team win. And then as a player, it's exactly what he did on Saturday. He fell forward for a first down. He knew where the chains were. He's that kind of guy that influences the game in a positive way, regardless of what the play looks like. Those are some key first downs in the game, and he's so aware. That's what we love about him. His football instincts and awareness. You really don't teach that stuff. We got to teach him plays. I get it and all that stuff, but he's just got great awareness, and he's selfless, and he's a great teammate. Thanks, guys, ladies. Appreciate you.